Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of the KPC podcast. My name is Karsan Turner.
And I'm Hannah Thurman.
Today, we're going to be talking about President Trump's State of the Union address he'll be giving tomorrow and recapping the Grammy Awards. So, Hannah, go ahead and start us off with our president and what he's up to.
All right. So tomorrow, President Trump will be giving his first State of the Union address at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll hear a lot about State of the Union addresses, but what does one actually entail? So CNN said that the State of the Union address can be found in Article 2, Section 3, Clause 1 of the Constitution, and this clause states that the president in office, quote, shall from time to time give to the Congress information of the State of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient, end quote. So the State of the Union actually didn't get its name until Franklin D. Roosevelt named it that, and it is delivered in the chamber of the House of Representatives with members of the House and Senate, members of the President's cabinet, and justices from the Supreme Court, which I will bring up later in this story. The Speaker of the House will introduce the President, and then usually, fairly recently still, the other side will give a response to it. So the great-nephew of JFK, Democratic Representative Joe Kennedy of Massachusetts, will give that response. And Fox reported that there is already a group planning on responding to his address by creating the People's State of the Union on the eve of the actual State of the Union. So I suppose that would be tonight. They will congregate at the Town Hall in Manhattan, a place where suffragists met in the 1920s. And some members of this group include Michael Moore, actor Mark Ruffalo, and Alyssa Milano. So this event will actually be live streamed online. You can find it at peoplesotu.org. And USA Today reported that Trump's speech is designed to outline his vision of a safer and stronger U.S. His theme is a safe, strong, and proud America. Trump will also outline a second-year agenda that includes an approach to trade with other countries, infrastructure proposal, and an immigration plan that has been so widely discussed, so that'll be interesting. And some senators are already saying that they are not going to be attending Trump's address, as well as my favorite justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, has also said that she will not be in attendance. So that is a way of defying him. I was looking into senators that weren't going, and one from New Jersey is a Cuban immigrant, and he had said that his main stance on when Trump called some countries shithole countries, that was his final straw. He had really taken a stance against Trump, but that one, he did not think that the way that he addressed that and said that was not appropriate at all. And so that was kind of his final straw. And he's standing up for his constituents because a lot of them are from or have immigrated here. So,
do you think it's a good idea that senators are protesting to not show up, or do you think they should be there?
I think that they're going to end up watching it, whether it's on live stream or whatever. I think that the reason why they're not going is to make a point to their constituents, but they have to be informed somehow. They got to know what the president's plan is and what they're doing.
That's right.
So I understand why some of them want to not show up, and I respect their decision to do so, but at the same time, like I said, they're probably going to watch it. I feel like they have to be informed at some point, know what's going on.
It's like, I don't know, I feel like if they become a senator and they signed up for it, regardless, it's like, especially if they're invited to show up. But that's interesting. Do you know if any other senators in the past, like during the Obama administration, if they've had people?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I would be interested if there were. I'm sure maybe there was one or two his first year, but I think just the impact of Trump everywhere has a much bigger altitude than Obama's impacted, or well, I guess the words that he would say didn't cause as much anger, I feel like.
Yeah, so, I mean, especially, not too good of timing. I don't think Obama was under any foul language situations before he gave his first address. I'm not seeing anything right now, but I don't think that this group of senators invented the not showing up.
I don't think so either. But yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see what he has to say. And as you and I were saying before this, I think it's going to be really interesting if he sticks to a script.
Yeah.
I feel like he's getting a little bit better at speaking if he sticks with a script. But I am personally not a fan of his speaking style anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we get to talk about some culture going on, which is the Grammys. Actually, sorry, this is still some political news. So last night, 6 new bills were passed that went in the favor of singer-songwriter Bruno Mars. Once enacted, the bill's going to... Oh, hang on, wait a minute. This is not politics. This is last night's Grammy Awards. But it's not like you could tell a difference because every form of entertainment has been deciding to politicize themselves. But real quick, before I get into this very long list of complaints about the Grammy Awards, I do want to give a shout out to LCD Sound System for winning their first Grammy. So that's really awesome. So the results of last night's Grammys actually ended in the lowest ratings. I don't know if it was all time. The article I have in here says all time, but then there was a tweet that I saw before we started recording that said in 9 years. But I'm going to take the article's credibility over someone's tweet. But
that's a good idea.
The main idea I kind of want to impose here is that entertainment should serve the purpose of escapism from the real world events. So, for example, you and I have to expose ourselves to politics for a very long time of the day. So whenever we come back, you go back home, you just want to sit down, relax, turn on the TV, not have to worry about what's going on. But now you can't do that because every form of entertainment decides to take a political stance. And it's just, at this point, it is incredibly annoying, especially because celebrities don't know what they're talking about. A lot of them didn't go to college, or a lot of them just don't, whenever they're famous, they put themselves on this like high horse. So I'm right because I make X million dollars a year, which we'll get into in a moment. But, yeah, we've seen this with all types of media. For example, the NFL saw a significant drop in ratings because they decided to politicize the national anthem. And then the new Star Wars film, though it was loved by critics, fans hated it because it took a political approach. So hopefully the Grammys can learn from this mistake before they eat themselves alive. But a quick little taste. This is just an example of some certain forms of virtue signaling. This is from Logic. Now, his song about like the suicide prevention hotline, I'm all on board with that. I think this is all very good. But then he does this thing that I've seen a lot of celebrities do this, and I don't understand. So here's a clip.
Black is beautiful. Hate is ugly. Women are as precious as they are, stronger than any man I have ever met.
But it's like, who has said otherwise? Do you know anyone who's like, oh, I don't like black people. I don't like women. Wait, really?
Yes.
Wait, who?
It's all over.
Where?
I mean, I think that we still have the KKK.
Right,
we still have people that are sexist and will think that a woman can't do a job. But I understand what you're saying about this.
Okay, I'm not saying...
I think a lot more people are agree with that than like people would voluntarily be like, yeah, I hate
But do you think they would even watch the Grammys,
Probably not.
I don't know, and
because they would hate that stuff. They would hate having someone rich being up on there and
telling them not to be racist. Yeah, I mean, I just think that it's such a small amount that whenever he says something like "I'm against racism," it's like you're saying something that 99% of the people agree with. I don't understand why you have to tell us that. Mostly everyone is against racism, but I get what you're saying. That you say that they still exist and whatnot, but.
Yeah, but I can't imagine a KKK member would be sitting down watching the Grammys.
Yeah, so. I don't think Mel Gibson was invited. So the first thing I want to talk about leading up to the Grammys, Jay-Z was bad-mouthing Donald Trump in an interview with CNN. So the headline I have is Donald Trump responds to JC criticism with historically low black unemployment numbers. This is from Charlie Spearing from yesterday. So President Donald Trump responded to criticism from rapper Jay-Z, Sean Carter, who called him a superbug during a discussion on CNN about racism. This is Donald Trump's tweet, somebody please inform Jay-Z that because of my policies, black unemployment has been reported to be at the lowest rate ever recorded. And that was, his tweet. So the famous rapper joined CNN's Van Jones, who asked him to respond to Donald Trump's shithole countries comments. So this is what he had to say. Yes, it's disappointing and hurtful. You are so misinformed, he's referring to Trump, because these places have beautiful people and beautiful everything. You haven't fixed anything. You've sprayed perfume on over a trash can. What you do when you do that is the bugs come and you spray something and you create a super bug because you don't take care of the problem. You don't take out the trash. You keep saying whatever you want to over and over to make it acceptable. As those things grow, you create a super bug, and that is Donald Trump. During the interview, Jones, the guy interviewing him, noted the black unemployment rate was at a historical low under the Trump administration. But real quick, before we get into that, I understand Jay-Z is very upset about the comment that he made about Donald Trump. I'm on board with him right there. Now, here's the part where I don't. He kind of loses everyone. So he asks him about the lowest black unemployment rate. And Jones says, is that something you like? Does that make him a good leader? Carter says, no. It's not about money at the end of the day. Money is not. Money does not equate to happiness. It doesn't. But that is how people make a living. Then he says this, you're going to treat me really bad and pay me well. It's not going to lead to happiness. It's going to lead to the same thing. And I don't quite understand what he's getting at there, especially when it's just like, it's a prime example that if you're not somebody who's looking into politics and you're a celebrity, maybe just don't give your input if it's not educated. Now, if he was able to cite research, I would be on board again, but with him just saying that it's not good that black people are making more money, in fact, he's kind of implying that it's still racist, I don't quite understand. But I
think where he's coming from here is that, I think he should acknowledge that is good, that the employment rate is down, but I think there's also a lot of things that Trump has said or hinted at that don't equate to being a president that appeals to people of color. An instance of that would be when he was running. I think he was saying, like stop and frisk kind of would be like a good thing. Like, let's bring that back. Like,
what's stop and frisk?
So it's really big with racial profiling. A police officer basically can just grab someone off the street or pull them over and pat them down or see if they don't really need a cause for it. And so back in the day, that was a big deal with racial profiling because that was when it was so prominent with that. Yeah. And so when he said something like that, like people were like, okay, well, we don't need to bring our country back to that point in time. So I think little things like that might, in Carter's opinion or Jay-Z's opinion, outweigh somehow the unemployment rate, but the point that I don't agree with is when he said, no, it's not about money at the end of the day. I don't think he should have said that because he's very wealthy. Yeah. And, he probably might not understand people. I don't know how he grew up, so maybe he had that at some point, but.
Yeah, and there's a number of things, like I'm not denying that there's a number of things that Trump has said that have been racially insensitive, yeah. But I my biggest critique on that is how the employment rate is low, and so I just don't know why he went out and just lashed out on that. But you think that it wouldn't get worse from here on out, but we have the second part, and this is I called this the night of the living Hillary because she just will not go away. So Hillary Clinton not only lost the 2016 election, but she likes to remind us every now and then why exactly she lost. Mind you, after losing the election, she wrote a book blaming everyone except for herself, and we're going to break down her appearance in the awards show. So I've got the clip right here. We're going to start.
Fire and Fury spoken word auditions. Take one.
Trump won't read anything. He gets up halfway through meetings with world leaders because he is bored.
He reprimanded the housekeeping staff for picking up his shirt from the floor. If my shirt is on the floor, it's because I want it on the floor. Another one. It's We the Best. It's DJ Khaled. Matter of fact, this is the best spoken word album in the game. I'm finally gonna win my Grammy.
So this isn't gonna work. Next!
It's not gonna work. Everything I do works.
Stand by. Take one.
He had a long-time fear of being poisoned. One reason why he liked to eat at McDonald's. Nobody knew he was coming, and the food was safely pre-made.
That's it. We've got it. That's the one.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
The Grammy's in the bag?
In the bag.
Good God. So
slightly cringeworthy on the end there.
Yes. And, aside from her being present. My biggest problem that I have with this is that they're reading the book Fire and Fury, which the Federalist has claimed that it is, let me see, let me make sure I get the quote right. False but accurate, which makes absolutely no sense. There's a lot of stuff in this book that has been claimed to be incorrect. More specifically, Nikki Haley tweeted, "I've always loved the Grammys, but to have artists read the Fire and Fury book killed it. Don't ruin great music with trash. Some of us love music without politics in it," the ambassador tweeted. So I think the biggest thing that the problem with this whole Fire and Fury, Hillary Clinton reading this, is that there's a part in the book that claims that Nikki Haley had to sleep her way to the top in order to get where she's at to work for the Trump administration. This turned out to be false. And now, since Hillary Clinton, during the campaign, was such a huge ally for women, why is she reading something that falsifies a woman's power? You know what I mean? It's like, I absolutely don't understand why she would. I mean, it just plays into the fact of how stupid she is and how she would support a book that falsifies the power of women just because she doesn't agree with them. And that was probably the biggest issue that I had with the Grammy Awards, is that whole spiel. But of course, I like how James Corden, he made up a fake award that Hillary would win because she didn't, win the presidency. So it's a nice little...
It's gotta win something.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this, or? I,
unfortunately, was not able to watch the Grammys, and I wish I would have, but I wish I would have just seen the music and the performances. And even though I'm a political science major and I love talking about politics, I kind of agree with Nikki Haley on that I would like it to kind of have a different, a barrier, a line between the two. I don't think that the Grammys or any other port in Hollywood really care if their views are going down because of that. I think that they care mostly about making an impact in a statement, and it's going to be all over social media whether or not people are watching it. Anyway, they're going to see it.
Yep. So, I mean, we're talking about it right now.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to touch up on this. Let's see. These were just a few things I saw on Twitter that I thought were very funny. So the effects of Hillary Clinton being on here. So someone made a chart, this is from Gallup, of losing presidential candidates post-election favorable ratings. She's the only president candidate whose approval ratings have gone down since post-election, which... I mean, when you keep doing stuff like this, you can exactly see why. I don't remember John McCain being on the Grammys reading from a falsified book about Barack Obama, but regardless, I'll go on to the next tweet that I saw too. I thought this was kind of funny. So this is a tweet from James Hasson. It says, "The entertainment industry, we're super serial about eliminating sexual harassment, you guys." And then it talks about a news article from a couple days ago that says, "The New York Times reports Hillary Clinton retained a staffer who was accused of sexual harassment and instead demoted his accuser." And then yesterday it says, "Hillary Clinton is featured at the Grammys." Nice. So another example of, not so good timing.
I agree. Yeah, I looked into that a little bit and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, and it's the combination of that and just her reading a book that falsifies Nikki Haley. I don't know who Nikki Haley is, but I feel bad for her, whoever she is. And
she's an ambassador.
She is for the Trump administration.
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, I had no idea. But I guess to wrap everything up, politicizing entertainment has started to make entertainment much more boring. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we normally look at entertainment to escape politics, but now everything is so infused with politics. It's like, am I supposed to read a book? Why would I read a book? Like, what do we do now? But that's really all I've got to say about it. Hopefully Hollywood picks itself back up and stops politicizing everything, because it's gotten super annoying.
I think that Hollywood, for some reason, everyone in Hollywood thinks that they are the forefront of this fight, quote unquote, that we're having against Trump, or that some of us feel like we're having. And frankly, if I disagree with him, I can do so. Like, right. I don't need all of them to speak for me. And it is kind of annoying that they put their toes into it whenever, wherever. But at the same time, in their defense, I mean, they're still Trump's constituents. They are still citizens, and if they have a much bigger platform than I would have.
Right.
You know, so if they want to say their opinion, go for it. All for it. But once you get an award show or something like that, that's kind of where it veers off the train for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually have an article saying that their ratings dropped 20% from last year. And last year they had lower ratings because there was a lot of stuff on TV competing with it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like people have already braced it and they're like, all right, well, the Grammys is probably going to be politicized, so I'm going to veer away from that. But is there anything else you have to say, or are we wrapping up?
Other than I wish Hillary Clinton would stop showing up everywhere in my life. No, I do not have.
Wait, who's that knocking on the? Oh my God,
it's
Hillary Clinton. Hi. Okay. Well, that's all we have for today's episode of the KPC podcast. Thanks for listening, and have a good rest of the day.
And watch Trump's State of the Union address for sure. Don't miss it.
Yes, because we will be talking about it on Friday, so don't miss out.
All right.